All right. Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to today's webinar. We have our Digital Marketing Playbook, Tools and Strategies to Grow Your Business, Part 1. So before we get started, I'll just be going over our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the lands which constitute the present-day City of Mississauga as being part of the treaty lands and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Seneca and Attawandaron and wider Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat First Nation. We recognize these peoples, the Anishinaabe, the Ojibwe-Chippewa nations within the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat, and all other peoples who inhabited these lands since time immemorial. The City of Mississauga is home to First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. As a municipality, the City of Mississauga is actively working towards reconciliation by continuing to strengthen our relationship with Indigenous communities. We formally recognize the Anishinaabe origins of our name and continue to make Mississauga a safe space for all Indigenous peoples. So this webinar is presented by Idea Mississauga. And a bit more about us. We are your central source for small business information, resources, and guidance. We are currently open remotely from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 p.m., and we offer free business information and guidance, webinars and workshops, resources and tools, training and mentorship programs, as well as entrepreneurship programs. I'm going to go a bit more in depth about each of our programs that we offer. We have our business advisory services. This consists of legal, accounting, business operations, sales strategy services, digital marketing strategy services, as well as scale-up services. And any information that you'd like to learn about the program, there is a URL that is attached to each slide. We also have our My Main Street program. This program supports new and existing small businesses in Mississauga's Clarkson, Cooksville, Malton, Port Credit, Streetsville, and downtown core area Main Street communities, and we help brick and mortar Main Street businesses to attract new and existing customers. Our summer company program is open to 18 to 35-year-old students, and it consists of business training and mentorship to help you get your business up and running, as well as an opportunity for a grant of up to $3,000 to help you launch your summer business. The Starter Company Plus program consists of free training and business skills development, free mentorship and guidance, as well as the opportunity to apply for a program grant of up to $5,000. The Digital Main Street program. In this program, you can receive a free digital assessment of your business. This program helps to enhance your business presence, as well as provide free one-on-one guidance, resources, and recommendations on growing digitally. We also help you to apply for a digital transformation grant of up to $2,500. Our Scale Up program is a 4-month program that supports innovative and inclusive companies to grow and overcome barriers. During this program, you attend workshops, you connect with experienced mentors, and at the end of the program, you pitch your business to potential investors. So just a bit more about our team. We are here to help you. So we have John Lamb, who is our entrepreneurship and innovation specialist, Susan Lovelace, and Nicole Barker, who are our small business consultants. Myself, I handle general inquiries, and Sahana, who handles our digital marketing consultations. So any of our contact information can be found on this slide. If you're interested in our upcoming events and programs similar to this one, feel free to head over to www.ideamississauga.ca/events and feel free to register for any of our upcoming programming. And here are just a few ways to contact us. So we have our email, which is idea@mississauga.ca, our phone number 905-615-4460, as well as our website to learn more, www.ideamississauga.ca. We can also be found on social channels, so we can be found on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Idea Mississauga. Here is our e-newsletter sign up. Feel free to scan this QR code if you aren't already signed up for a newsletter. You will get access to our programming, our resources. We are usually the first to post that on our newsletter. If you'd like to gain access to that, do feel free to sign up. So a few housekeeping rules before today's session. The audio and camera is only available for our speakers and panelists today. This session is being recorded, and please use the chat area to offer any comments and questions you have and put it to all panelists. And today's presentation, resources, and a feedback survey will be emailed to attendees following today's session. So at this point, I'd like to introduce our panelists for today. We have Laura Dunkley and Emily Watson from Acorn Studio Marketing, and I'll hand it over to them.
Great, thanks, Mona. Thanks everyone for joining as well. I will start by sharing my screen. Actually, I think I'm just going to share PowerPoint. So today's session, everyone can see that okay? Hopefully Emily's nodding yes, thank you. How to create a digital marketing playbook to simplify and automate your marketing efforts. So as Mona mentioned, today's session is going to be a big one, but I do hope that you guys will engage. So just take a moment to check your chat area if you have say hi just to make sure it's all working, because that's where I hope you guys will put in some comments and questions along the way. So excellent. I'm just going to pull that out so I can see you guys in your chats. So how to create a digital marketing playbook to simplify and automate your marketing efforts. Yeah, it helps if I'm actually, it's working here. There we go. So what we're going to cover today is how to create a simple but effective marketing playbook, how to build a marketing team on a limited budget, quick topic we're going to talk through a little bit there, how to automate marketing tasks to save time and money, and what digital marketing tools are available to improve collaboration and efficiency as you manage your marketing initiatives. We're also going to talk about how to develop the skills needed to successfully manage your brand. That's going to be something that will be discussed throughout and definitely in part of the Q&A at the end. So introducing myself, again, just to let you know that part of Acorn Studio Marketing is myself and Emily Watson. So Emily joins me today as the moderator and also a brand strategist, and who has been working now in our agency for a while with many clients and brings quite a bit of insight along the way. So you can reach us at acornstudio.marketing/about and learn a little bit more about us. So before we get started, I want you guys to let me know how you're making out with your digital marketing. How are you managing your initiatives, your tactics? Does it feel like you can't keep up with all the work? I hear that a lot. Are you not sure if you're getting the return on your investment of marketing dollars? And do you wish you had a roadmap for what to do and when to do it? Would love to hear some input in the chat. Thumbs up that this is resonating with you, because digital marketing is big and it's constantly changing and there's a lot going on. It integrates with so many other aspects of your business too. And just like any obstacle course like this, it's a challenge. So one thing for sure is I want to just commend all of you for showing up, because it is something that we'll be constantly learning about and training, and it's exciting. But today's session is hopefully going to streamline that and give you some support along the way. So some things to consider is that this is digital marketing management, and what we have to do is we have to know what trends are happening. This is part of let's step back and figure out what's going on in the world. So some of the things that are affecting how we do our digital marketing is some new things coming up, and it's not so new, but it continues to evolve, is automation. Customers are increasingly demanding personalization. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of that is something new technology, and it's constantly changing, and we need to integrate it into our system in some way or another, because if we don't, our competitors are doing it, right? Privacy laws are something we have to know about. Social media is big, and it's definitely around community. That's a trend moving forward that we have to embrace and realize and manage that community, and know that everything's up in the cloud, at least mostly. I mean, some of the stuff we still have physical offices, but primarily our management is up there. People are customers, and how we do things is in the cloud. And hybrid work environments, not just hybrid online and in person how we work, but our customers are shopping in person and online. And we have to take that into consideration as we integrate all of this into our digital marketing. We also have so many channels that we're managing. Now, you're not going to manage all of these channels, and today we're not going to talk about tools specifically to do these channels, like types of chatbots and video hosting and things like that. But how do we put these all together? And they're changing, and we need to be strategic in that. And here again is that option, not just the tactics we have to consider, but how we do work. And Emily and I found this super cool, and we're totally looking into this, but the world of metaverse, right? Like everything is going online. What does that look like? Now, most of us aren't here yet. Totally want to be, but we're not there. But it is the way we're going. So, how do we get there, and how do we prepare as this work climate and environment changes? The cost of doing business too, right? More things are happening, and we have to consider our time is money, not just our time as business owners, but who we hire. So if we can streamline our processes, because look, marketing and sales costs an average of 15 to 35% of corporate costs. Small business costs aren't any different. So if we can streamline that and make our time more efficient, then we're ahead of the game. So that brings us to the point of what is a digital marketing playbook and why we even need to have it. So a digital marketing playbook is a guide on how to manage and optimize your digital marketing efforts, right? Our whole goal for this is to get the best results in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort and also the least amount of money, right? So the playbook is that guide for implementation and managing your marketing plan. It includes tools and resources, processes, workflows, guidelines, and templates, among potentially other things. It does help to drive consistency across digital marketing channels and ensure best practices are followed. It helps track performance and apply insights, ultimately saving time, money, and resources. And this is what we all aim to achieve. And those benefits are improved efficiency, quality control, supports a growing company, and improves communication. All of this is going to make your marketing efforts easier and optimized, and be able to take that time to review, reflect, and update as needed. So it is that central guide. It will be prepared and ready for you guys to download on our website. The link is here, and you'll have the link afterwards, and it will be available. But acornstudio.marketing/downloads is where we put all of our downloads. Some are free, some are low cost, but they are available to you. This one will be free to you shortly after this webinar. So let's put this into context. So where does the playbook fit? You as small business owners, not-for-profits, corporate, it doesn't really matter where you sit. If you're a solopreneur that's going to be growing, as a growing small business, or you're even a large corporate entity and maybe you're a marketing team within it, it all makes a sense. It's just a different size. So there's still you managing your marketing, and you still have a team, whether it's internal team, employees, or external contractors. There are people involved in your marketing and how you manage it. You need to store your files somewhere. We use Google Drive. Other people use OneDrive, potentially, iCloud, whatever that is. You need a file management system, somewhere to put that. And then you're going to have your guide. This is where it's the how-to. It's where you're going to go, and you're going to get all the information you need in one centralized location. And then you'll have that, and then you're going to go out and you're going to develop your processes, right? You're going to have planning meetings. You're going to figure out how you're going to do it. You're going to actually set up time to do that. And you're going to use tools such as Miro, which is one of the tools that we use, and we're going to talk about in our workshop, which is the follow-up session. And it's just an online whiteboard. If you're in person, maybe you like to use sticky notes. Whatever that is, capture it, but keep it in one place. So if you do things in person, make sure you take digital copies, because you do have to translate it and maintain that. And then what we have, which will also be available to you, is a template. It's a planning template. We'll go through each section, but basically it has your calendar of what you're going to do. It has all your tactic strategies included, and it has that overview planning, so you're going to be able to see each tactic and where it falls within each month. So it's a centralized place for it's either could be you again, or it's somewhere where your team can have access to everything in one place. And then from there, what has to happen is you now have this content strategy, right? So you an editorial calendar of some sort you need because you need to figure out what content you need to do. You're going to take that from the planning sessions, put it into your editorial calendar, and then find out when you're doing what. So a spreadsheet works really well for most people. It's available. And then what you can do from that is go to a tool like a project management tool like Asana, which is what we're going to showcase to you in the workshop as well. Now you could skip that editorial calendar and put it right into Asana. But if you're used to spreadsheets, it's just one extra step. Do what works right for you, but somehow you need to have that visual of what kind of content and how you're going to publish it, and then who is tasked to do it, and then a place to follow up. And then from there, you actually have to do it, right? There's tools to create content. There's tools to do emails. There's tools for your website. There's tools to help you with editing, which is like Grammarly. And then there's those scheduling tools to help you with the automation. And then whatever you create, make sure you consolidate it and store it and have a way to file it. That's the circle. That's it. This is marketing management, basically 101. So what's included in this digital playbook? Let's go back to that. What do we need to have? So it's basically that intro. This is what it is. That's what you're going to have is kind of this document and what a playbook is. You're going to do some background and research, and that's everything leading up to your actual digital playbook. And we're going to talk about each section of this. And then those key sections are things like under business management. How do you manage your team? For marketing, what do you need to do? Content is a key piece, so we separate that out as well, and there's different tools involved, so you definitely want a section for that. Marketing tactics, those are the key sections, and then we have to talk about processes and workflows. So that's planning, implementation, management, and then there's a whole bunch of supporting documents that you're not going to include in your playbook, but it's really important to have. So this is the outline that you can follow. Now, all of this, it's going to seem like a lot, and you're going to go, I don't have time to put this playbook together. The whole idea of this playbook is that it's on an online Google Drive, wherever that is, because this will be a Google document, and you're going to do the key things. You're going to know what order to put these in, and then you just keep updating it when you can. And I recommend scheduling a time at least once a month and you have a planning session. So know that this is an ongoing process. It's not meant to be overwhelming. If you can hire someone to help you put this playbook together and you can dedicate so much of time, that's excellent. But just for those small business owners that are trying to do this on their own, just have a place and set aside some time to continue to update it. So those supporting documents include your marketing strategy. They're going to be all your brand, social media, content kind of rolls up into that marketing strategy piece. And it's typically another document you've worked on before. I don't recommend pulling it into your playbook, but just link it out. Digital marketing plan is how you're going to implement your strategy, right? Things like key messages, style guides, things like that are really good to have for public relations, media. Brand guidelines and assets, you want to link out to that because you want to make sure you're using the right colors and logos and all of that. Your sales playbook, sales and marketing closely tied together. So definitely have your sales playbook there. And then any research you do, right? Customer journeys, workshops, personas. And then we're going to show you a bunch of templates for that as well. And so here's a little magic. Remember that all these documents, and quite often we see time spent is going to find them all, right? So make sure you organize them in a nice consolidated place within in your Google Drive folder, but sometimes you can't always do that, right? And then you end up going hunting. So what you should do is in your playbook, in the appendices section, just have hyperlinks that go over to them. And that way you'll be able to access it and magically you just get transported. That's the world of online. right? It's so great, but just be sure to include those appendice links for you, and that will save a ton of time. So those sections that we talked about, those business management, high level, really it's governance, right? That's your cybersecurity, your business tools, admins and passwords, all those things that we're all scrambling, right? Social media, what's your Instagram password? Oh my goodness, I can't remember how to get into my Gmail passwords. If I have to start to work with someone, what is the conditions? Do we have contracts? Things like that, that all are part of digital marketing. But they're separate, right? Like we have to have access to them, but they're actually done in a separate department. Whether it's a small business, it's not really, think of it as a growing business, right? So set up your departments as folders. Workflows and processes are important. And if you're going through a digital transformation, strategies and processes and things like that, any types of roadmaps that are going to affect you, make sure you include those in your business management section. And remember that, again, this is all as it pertains to digital marketing. Within your playbook, that's what you're going to actually write, but it's going to link out to your main business management because there's going to be so much more there, right? That affects everything, including sales, accounting, things like that. And if you want more on business continuity, which is a big piece of what this is, cybersecurity. Remember, we talked about privacy laws being really important. Things like that, you do need to make sure that you manage that. The city of Mississauga, we did a small business continuity plan. I say we because I was with the city at the time. So the city has a small business continuity plan webinar. Maybe Mona can at some point get the link for that. I just couldn't find it, but that is somewhere if you are interested, would be a larger, bigger piece to put together. Okay. And then we go into marketing management. So this is actually what we're doing, right? So sales and marketing, it's integrated processes and workflows. How does this work together with sales? How to implement and manage your marketing, different briefs, things like creative briefs, critical paths, things that you're going to do repeatably. Like this is where repeatable processes are really important because if you have a brief that you can use every single time, you don't need to recreate it. Now, when you're just starting your business, you spend a lot of time creating these templates. But eventually, as you scale, you'll get to be able to be more efficient, do more work, take on more clients, right? Because now you have the repeatable processes that you don't have to redo it. It's really going to set the foundation. And if you have easy access to these briefs and these templates, that's what's going to help you with that efficiency. And then there's also reporting, things like that, that you can add in there for templates and guidelines, social media policies for any of our not-for-profits. For sure, volunteers, if you have employees, social media guidelines are really, really important. And then how are you going to manage your content, right? How are you going to gather, create, distribute, and file this content, stay organized? And that even includes things like naming conventions. I don't know about you guys, but I am the worst for filing, but thank goodness I name things. Right, so you can search on them. So even put that in. Now, when it's just Emily and I at Acorn, but we work with numerous teams, so we have to establish these processes so that we can manage it and we can stay organized, our clients stay organized, everyone stays organized. So setting up these processes is really important. Content templates are things like social media, case studies, blogs, all of that will save you time. And then you have all these mini playbooks. Oh my goodness, there's so much, right? So for each of these tactics, you need to know how you're going to operate on them. What tools do I need? So for social media, are you going to be using Asana for planning? Do you use a Google Drive calendar? Are you using Hootsuite for scheduling? Which platform gets to use each of these? And what that does, it just helps you remember what to do with it. But if you start to hire someone, this is a really important thing that you can just pass off. So for each of these tactics, have a strategy. And this is what it looks like. So this section, and this is what you're going to get. And I've laid it all out so that you just have to fill in the blanks, right? So you have the category, where does it fall into? What are those policies and procedures that you need to follow? PMR, I'm going to give you, I totally forgot. People might not know what that is it's a person most responsible. Really, it's that overview. So we have worked with teams, like multiple teams, and we need to know who we need to go to as an agency. But the internal team needs to know who's going to be most responsible. So if someone is taking care of the website, put that person in there. If someone's taking care of social media, put that person in. Doesn't mean they're the only ones doing it. They're just the ones that are overseeing that tactic. And it's a central way, a quick way to understand and see high level of how yours being managed, because maybe one person's doing too much. Just a whole nother story. But review frequency, how often are you going to update the strategy and any notes that need to be there, notes and links. So this is what's in your playbook, and it's for each of those key sections. So before getting started, okay, so you have all of that strategy. We do have to step back a little bit and do a few things like research, right? A lot going on. So we'll just take a moment, because really this research piece is good. So gives us a chance to step back and what are we actually doing in our business that is going to help us build this playbook, and how we could even potentially be more efficient. All right, ready to get started? Let's do this. All right, steps to getting started. 1 to 7. First one is you have to have a marketing strategy and you have to have a digital marketing plan. We're not going to talk about how to do that, because there is a link that we're going to share out. We've done boot camps, we have digital marketing webinars. The city of Mississauga has so many resources on doing business plan. All of that is the foundation for getting started. Once you have that all together, then we need to go, what's the situation? What's happening? Right? Let's do some research internally and externally. What resources do I have? And then what are those things that we can do to potentially improve? You do all of that, and then we get started doing the digital marketing plan. So this really is that foundation. So what is the situational analysis? This is really where you are as a business, right? Have a look at your business plan. Where are you going now and in 10 years? And why does that matter? Because if you don't think 10 years in advance, when you go to think about what tools you want to do, you might just be thinking now, but you want to invest, because it takes a long time. It takes a lot of money, time, and resources to invest in a tool and a process. So it's best to think now, but also in the future and how you're going to scale, because you want to know if that can be with us for a while, because you don't want to have to change over every single year for a new tool. So if more you can see that insight, the better. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Hey, I'm not really techie, or absolutely, I am technological. Like, all of those different things can matter. We have funding right now. We don't have funding right now. That gives pause to think of what kind of technology you're going to do, or even processes, right? You're going to review your business plan and marketing strategy. What existing tactics do you have? Are there key dates you need to consider? What content do you have? What existing technology? What workflows? All of those things are internal things that you need to consider. And then look at the market. Where are things going, right? Politically, economically. We use a PESTLE kind of acronym, but just helps us to remember that, because all of those influences, if everyone's going to the metaverse, then you need to sort of think about that. Is there implications for privacy within your industry that you need to think about, right? Those are all external things to consider for your situation. So write all that down, then do a little bit of research, figure out what you're doing well, what you're not doing well, communications tools and management. How can you potentially get better? How's this affecting your business? And that's internal again. And then external, right? What is available? What can help you with some of these problems? What are other best practices of other entrepreneurs that they're doing? And what resources do you have? And then resources, jumping into that, resources, time, talent, and money. Those are the three main ones that we all have. Take the time to think about what you do have. And then how are you going to improve it, right? Make sure you prioritize those changes to be realistic and put them down. And then task them in Asana. Just saying, we use the Asana a lot. And then create that plan, right? Processes and workflows. And this is what it looks like. This will be in your playbook. It has a little brief, so you don't have to jump back to this. So it'll be an understanding of what we just talked about. Put in your notes and then links. And then for the steps to improvement, there's action items, priorities, and who is going to be tasked to this getting fixed. So that's the situational analysis. A lot, right? But it does set the stage. Please don't jump past that step. Even if it's just a one-day briefing writing notes, I do recommend getting someone external if you can, like a business consultant or someone to help you with objectivity, or make sure for sure it's your team that's involved in all of it. And we do need to take the time now as part of that situation next, right, is to figure out what processes you do have, right? That is that analysis piece. And specifically for your marketing, what are you actually doing now and how? I put sales in there because marketing and sales are so tightly connected. But I wanted to walk through actually a scenario which hopefully will hit home a little bit more about how to actually do this. So this scenario is a consultant business, and they found that they were spending too much time on discovery calls with potential clients and finding most of them were unqualified, right? So we decided we'd go through and do an exercise to figure that out. Why is it sales and marketing? Well, marketing, because it was all coming through the website, so it definitely got involved. In sales, this was part of their sales process. So we had to consider both for this. And then we went through an intake process. It's really a customer journey template. Down the list, what are they doing, thinking, what are those different touch points, weaknesses, opportunities? We did a whole landscape based on this new client intake process. And that's what the client is doing, the customer's doing on the left-hand side. And across the top is during each of these stages, where are they in the funnel, right? In general awareness, if that person is in the general awareness stage, what are they doing and where are they touching? Right? Consideration stage, what are they doing? Thinking, touching, right? Decision, purchase, all the way across. And it's a general piece just so we can get a good idea of where it is. And it comes down to weaknesses and opportunities. So we found that there was an opportunity on the contact form to improve this, to help them be more streamlined in their process. And then we used Miro to create this whole workflow of how it would look, right? To improve the sales process, but also marketing. Here's some guiding questions. I won't read through them, but you guys will have these available. And then for the outcome from that, the results from that, after going through this workflow process, we realized that we could update that booking and consultation form, right? Like the whole contact client. And by doing that, it now we were able to develop the document. We actually documented intake process, which wasn't there before. We updated the form on the website with more qualifying questions. Now we just saved a ton of time because they're coming pre-qualified. So marketing had to get involved. Reviewed and updated the discovery call script, right? So more targeted questions so that we thought through the whole process, added in a CRM to help manage contacts and clarified roles for who's doing what. So this is where it comes down to marketing plays a piece, but we're so much a part of supporting sales, right? So this is processes. Customer journey map on Miro. Here's a great tool. It's easy, online, little sticky notes, moving them around, and it's already a template for you. And then the flow chart, it's already pre-built on there too. And if you want this template, we use this for our email marketing, but it's the same. You can use this template across all of any of your processes to figure out where that customer journey is and what are they doing and what are you doing to potentially help them. It's a really good spreadsheet across each of your sections. Make sense? Any questions on that? No? Good. It's a lot of information. Okay, so now we have a team, right? You may have to do this yourself for a little while, but let's talk about building out that team and how can we get the right team at the right place so that we're only paying for what we actually need, but we definitely want to scale, right? We're all in this business of growing. So who's on your team? Yep, it might just be you, and that's okay. But where are those resources that you can get the help you need to not only create a playbook, but also to manage your team, right? To actually do the work. So sometimes you can go out and contract a consultant, or you could get an employee, right? So either way, you're working with a dedicated person. And then you also have these things that are as needed, right? They're your freelancers, your volunteers. They come, they go, basically based on a need. So you're mostly going to work with a contracting consultant, but you're also going to have to manage a freelancer. Sometimes the contractor will manage the freelancer and you work directly with them, or the employee, or you project manage your own marketing and you have a contractor to do most of the big work and then you manage some of the other ones. It is hard. It's just like building your own home to be your own general contractor. Sometimes it is actually more efficient to hire out and get a consultant or an employee to be able to manage all the as needed things. If that skill level isn't yours, if you're really good at marketing and you just don't have time, then freelance it is. Right? This is where you have to go back to that SWOT and those strengths and those weaknesses and figure out what roles, what hats, and what skills you have as a founder and CEO. And here's a bunch of links where you can find things: Upworks, Fiverr, Charity Village if you're not for profit. Don't forget, we should change that from MBEC to IDEA. Mississauga is one of the best, right? Because they have free consultations. They have so many programs for entrepreneurs, so definitely consider them. Edge at Sheridan is also a good local one. Social media research, ask for referrals. These are all of the things. Not only can you find people, but you can learn yourself, right, from different things. So put out an ad, look at those local colleges, Digital Main Street, again, through the city, but digitalmainstreet.ca has a vendor directory of a whole bunch of different types of people doing digital marketing work. So those are just some places you as a small business owner can get help. And I did a blog, so lauradunkley.com. If you head on over there, there is some more information about how to build out your team on a shoestring budget. So you're scaling, right? Like this is what you'd normally see in an organizational chart. But you should also, as a small business owner, consider these things, right? You are the founder, you're the CEO of your organization. You wear all of these hats, right? You're the CTO most of the time, dealing with cybersecurity issues, or you have a friend, family, something in that world. You're also the chief operations, product manager, growth manager. You're all of these things. But at some point, you're going to change that, right? Like you have to grow and pass off that hat. And who's going to help you in that growth is you often have these professional advisors, right? You have your accountant, your lawyer, your business coach, and a communications advisor. You also will be contracting out work, right? Marketing agencies, IT support, all of these people are part of your team. And then you might have to be doing all of this, but eventually you are going to grow to the point of having employees, right? Or you're not, and maybe you go directly through contract, just a typical scenario, but really if you're in that growth phase, you're probably going to do that. You're also, if you are going to start hiring, in the marketing world, quite often what we have seen successful because it's very difficult to, who's going to hire a marketing manager at some very high salaries to manage, all your marketing. Quite often, what will happen is you hire someone who has some skills in marketing, and then will be more of your coordinator, right? It's all the small stuff that needs to get done that takes up your time, and they will work with the agencies. You do the big marketing strategy work, and then they take care of the actual getting it done, and they'll work as your assistant, as the coordinator, and as some marketing advice because they have a background in marketing, and they'll work with your agency. And at some point, too, you may want a sales rep. So that's often how it happens. And then you can also, what we do as well is fractional CMO. So when you do hire a potential marketing agency, you could get some sort of senior level strategic support, but you only have them for a fraction of a time. There's so many different ways to do it, but first and foremost, figure out what your strengths are, figure out where you're going as a company, and then start to build out that team. Think about what ideally it looks like, and then head on over to some of those resources we mentioned to see what kind of supports are available. And then in your playbook, this is where you have to organize things, right? Now, I put a section in here for team management, contact information, roles, names. You might not have it all in here. You might have it somewhere else. If you do have it somewhere else, I would say the role needs to be here, and at least the notes on what that role looks like, and then have it linked out to a contact form wherever that might be, in your address book, wherever that is, but definitely include your role here, because the people might change, but the roles will typically be the same. Okay, leveraging technology and automation, right? We need that tech and we need to figure out how to automate some of our processes. We've already have our processes. That's good. That helps repeatable processes with automation, but it's that tech and that ability to keep it streamlined and moving forward. So first of all, we have to map out our workflow, and we did touch on that already because it's huge, right? We have a lot of things happening. We have accounting happening, we have sales, we have marketing, management. It's all there, right? So make sure you put it all down, and then let's focus for digital marketing only on the marketing piece, right? That's social media. We've got email marketing, subscribe forums, websites, lead gen forums. We have all of your backup and analytics, right? We still have to deal with IT and that kind of world as far as our website. And then we also have how are we going to file everything, right? Who's going to create the content? How are we going to schedule out social media? And how are we going to manage some of these tactics? So all of these have to be mapped out. And then we have to figure out for each of these sections, what kind of tech do we need? Right? Like we've got marketing management, how to do the content, as we mentioned. And for each of these tactics have to have tech. They don't have to, but most of the time at this point, it's technology. And so, how do we choose the right technology? There's some guiding questions to consider. Well, A, price, we all know that. If you can get a trial period, go for it. Absolutely get in there. But just remember, it's going to take some time and monitor how much time you have on that trial period. Is it scalable, right? Is the pricing scalable? Is the yeah, that's scalability is a big one. So pricing, efficiency, can you calculate the cost savings on this? You know, there is a way to do it, but try and figure out how much time it's going to save you, because you have to take into the factor how quickly you're going to learn it, right? How many touch points it's going to save you on, how much time it's going to save you on. Efficiency is important. Is it going to save you money to the point where now you're so efficient that you can take on more clients, right? Will it scale with you as you grow? Does it integrate with your existing technology or other technology roadmap plans? Is it easy to learn and use? And I say easy. Is it easy for you? Is it easy enough? Is it intuitive? Usage, again, how many touch points will it use will improve your efficiencies, and your cost savings, your return on investment. Required features, does it have everything you need now and in the future? And if it doesn't have everything you need, what's their roadmap? Quite often, if you start, they will share that with you. I mean, Emily and I have worked with so many tools, and we love startups, right? And supporting software startups. And one of the ones, for instance, that we use, right, is PR Camp. Just to kind of throw that out there. And it is a PR tool and it's in the early stages, but we know the roadmap. And if you're looking for an online newsroom, it's like, oh my goodness, this is so great. What a great tool because it's easy to use, doesn't have all the features. However, they're building these all into their roadmap. It's like, okay, I'm going to invest in that. See, those are the kinds of things that you need to think about when it comes to that. Value added features, what are the nice to haves? What are the importance to have? And above and beyond, make sure you consider security and privacy. And before you get started, no matter what, you have to map that. It has to map up to your workflow, right? It has to map up to your processes. And then what you do is you figure out your sales and marketing needs, what you actually need, like we were talking about, and then you create a matrix list after that. And so just to throw this out there, you guys can have this link. It's a good exercise, sales and marketing, right? What do they need and how do they support each other? And it's just one of those needs exercises you can do. And then once you figure out what you actually need, now we get to start mapping it. Now it looks like a beast, but Miro is so great. You go online, there's sticky notes, they move things around. I've already created this template and I've reused it actually. So it's like, here's a start. So in the center is your processes, and then outside is all those other admin stuff. So you've got sales, you've got marketing, you've got administration, and then you just start connecting the tools, right? So all of a sudden we had Zoho on there. Can Zoho be used for sales and marketing? Does it make sense because it's going to be used for more? Asana, where is it going to fit into the picture? And this way it gives you one place, one visual map. And then once you've done all of that, you have now in your playbook, you have all the tools that you need. You're going to list the tools, you're going to talk about how it's going to be used, how much it's going to cost you. This is really important too, speaking from experience, because tools start to add up, right? Software as a service, oh, it's just $50 a month. Oh, it's just $100 a month. Or now it's quarterly and then it's annually. And if you do this, and all of these costs start to add up. And for a small business owner, we're for any organization, budget's important. So if you actually start to list them and put them all here for the end of the year, accounting will be so much better too. And so it's the tool, how you're going to use it, put in your budget, and then what section is this pertain to, right? For marketing management and content marketing? Is it for planning, managing, implementing, reporting? This is where you get to see too how many touch points, right? All of a sudden, if you can use it for all of these things, now all of a sudden when you look at the budget line item, you're going, okay, this is actually saving me some money. So that's marketing management. And then for all your digital marketing tactics, which will be social media, website, SEO, put down the tool, how it's used, budget, and then again, it's going to see how many touch points you get to do that. And for instance, a tool like MailChimp, you may say, okay, I'm going to use MailChimp for email marketing, right? You're going to use it for email marketing, but the how it's used is not for that. It's like I'm going to use it, and this is the process, right? I'm going to sign up. I'm going to do welcome emails. This is the process of how I'm actually going to do it. And then it's going to be used for social. Nope, we don't use it for social, but maybe you decide you want their website. Maybe not. Not SEO, not website, but you're going to do event stuff there. Maybe you're going to do landing page events. You're going to do your email marketing. Maybe you're going to do launch events because you're going to have a landing page for that. There's a bunch of different things that you can actually do in MailChimp, which is surprising how much. So if you haven't been to MailChimp for a while, do check it out. They have a bunch of features. And this is where they're all trying to start to consolidate. But make sure that it makes sense. Just because they offer a website doesn't mean it's right for your business, but it is a planning tool. This is where everything just gets to be put together, and then you can start moving things around. And then the processes and workflows, as we mentioned, you'll have two sections here. This is your planning section, and then implementation and managing. So in your planning, you're going to see the different um, big sections like the trimester, every trimester you want to plan, and then monthly management, things like that. All of these break it down, say how frequently you're going to do it, who's going to be required to be there, um, what type of things you need to bring, what's going to be on the agenda. It's quite detailed in the playbook. I'm giving you a scenario so that you can see it and then just customize it for you. And this is just typical, but it doesn't mean it's right for everyone. But there's different sections in there that should be helpful for you. When it comes to implementation and management, that's more about, when you do campaigns. If you're going to do social, who's going to take care of it? How often are you going to manage it? What tools are related for it? So there's a section for email marketing, and I'll just put the basic ones in, and you'll be able to see from there. Now, when it comes to roles, that one's up to you. You can figure out who's going to do it. Any questions? No, we're good. Lots of questions at the end. We'll talk about each section as you need it. So let's get into an actual scenario of a company that put together, and it's a fictitious company, that put this together and how it's helping them. So just a reminder, remember, we're going to keep this as a kind of a general understanding of the workflow. And let's walk through Garden Grows. And some of you may recognize this scenario because we've used it across all of our digital marketing webinars. And there's a link below. So coming to this, if you haven't seen it, how to write a digital marketing plan, there's a bootcamp webinar on there that you can see more of how she built out her digital marketing plan. And this scenario is a garden company. They have a website, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and they have X amount of money. They do have a team, and they are hiring a digital marketing specialist to oversee the plan. So this is where in the digital marketing plan you kind of go, okay, this is an oversight. But we've discovered that she needs a playbook, right? All these people, it's constantly growing. She wants a handbook to make sure that everything is organized. So marketing management, content marketing, digital marketing tactics, all of these. Now, what are we going to do with it, right? So, as we mentioned, part of her plan, she has all her tactics laid out and all the things that she needs to do. So, social media, directory, digital ads. Now we want to get it organized. So we're going to put together our flowchart, right, on Miro. And you guys can see this. It's a free one that you can have. And then we've listed all our scenario down the side there. And now we're going to map out technology. So we've got sales, what's happening. She's got in-store and online. And then we also have her marketing, right? Website, blogs. She's going to do some paid ads, email marketing. So we've mapped all of that out. We even have her administrative stuff in the gray, right? Sort of the fact that she still needs to um, plan. So uses Miro. We still need to file things. She wants to have training specific things for her employees. So we put down Thinkific, Survey Monkey. She wants to get feedback forms. All of this is put together here on the flowchart. And so what else is added to this, and you might not be able to see it, but there's the little repeatable processes. So for each of these little notes, we've analyzed and went, oh my goodness, if we automate this is going to improve things. So for each section, we have something added. It's like, how are we going to use this? How is this going to improve on us? And so now we have this snapshot of all the processes and potential repeatable processes that can either be improved upon, added in, or we're using it. A really good planning document for yourself to give you this one snapshot visual of tools and processes and workflows, as well as your digital marketing plan, right? All of her tactics down the side. So now, time to put it into the playbook. And then, as well as the playbook, right? So she's documented all of that. We have this template that you guys will be able to have. And what that is this is a planning template. When she comes together with her marketing consultant or her team, she has this spreadsheet. And what it does is for each, we've broken this up into trimesters, but you can do it quarterly. Don't leave it for any longer than 6 months though. I would say quarterly or 3 times a year. And then this is brainstorming. You know, what themes are going to happen? What are those key dates we need to know? What are those business goals? What are those business objectives? And then marketing goals and marketing objectives. And why is this important? Say, for instance, for her, right? She's a garden center. If you are doing January, February, March, what would those key dates be? And I'm going to put this out to you guys. Is there anyone on the chat? If you had a garden center and you had marketing ideas for this, what are those themes that would be in for January, February, March? Emily, even if you want to jump in here too and build that in, I'm going to brainstorm with you. So themes for January, February, March. I'm thinking Valentine's Day, right? You have Valentine's Day in there. Anyone else? Yeah, see, Renee, Valentine's, New Year's. Thank you. Good. Anything else? March. I'm thinking March. What's happening in March for a gardening center? Easter, early Easter, St. Patrick's Day. You guys are great. Yes. Okay. So now this is your garden center. We've just put in a whole bunch of themes. Those key dates, St. Patrick's Day, like list those days, right? March 17th. We got February 14th. End of winter preparation and your garden center. You're prepping too for spring. Now you're not quite there yet. That's probably in the next one, but maybe there's some preparatory things that you need to do. Absolutely. So those business goals, what do you want to do? Maybe it's preparation, maybe it's planning, maybe it's getting, you have a gift center and maybe that's getting that gift center up and ready. And maybe it's also getting people in early to do containers because that is something that they actually do. It's like, hey, you're thinking about planters? Bring in your planter and let us do these, create a planter for you guys to prepare for the spring and we'll start it growing for you, right? Like that's okay. How do we get sales in here, right? But while it's been a very quiet winter time. So key tactics. So what are those key things that we could do for that website? You know, we could start blogging more about all of that kind of stuff. That's a key top tactic. What about, so she does social media. Any ideas on what we could do on social media? Thoughts? Come on. Social media. Garden center, social media, Emily. I'm thinking some how to get ready for spring, right? What do we need to do? What kind of preparatory things? What do we need to put into our planting guide? What about those little seedlings, right? Like, don't you have to do all those planting things? See how we're going, all of these things. This is my team, right? Like, let's brainstorm things together, and then what do we want to achieve from a marketing goal? And this is the kind of stuff that you want to do. Whether it's yourself or else with a team, it's so much more fun, right? With people, if you can do it, but it's not always the case. So that's the whole idea in this one. And this is where, and this comes from Emily. Thank you, Emily, for your awesome calendar. Is where you would start to put all of these brainstorming ideas down. What are we actually going to do? Right? Like in September, I have September, October, you're going to change the dates on that. What are the holidays, maybe of Instagram and Facebook? What are those kinds of things that we need to do? Your action notes are on the side that needs to happen. What goals do you want to achieve? What are those key performing indicators? Like if you are key performance and it's in the springtime, maybe you're doing a contest, right? It's like, okay, well, I need traffic to my Instagram, or I need traffic to my website, or I need pickup, promote subscription products or services for sure for various seasons. Absolutely. So maybe you have a subscription box. Cool. Okay. So that's what you're going to focus on. And this is where it's better. Once you start brainstorming, then you can kind of pull it together and go, okay, this is too much. We can't do all of this. And then you say, okay, well, what's going to make us the most money? What can we do right now? What's going to help move the needle forward? So we say, okay, this is the resources we have. Let's focus on this. We see our business goals, and now we have a calendar of planning. And when it's all like this, you go, okay, well, I'm not going to do it in this month, and we've brainstormed it, but let's capture this and put it into the next month. See how it's all here and you haven't lost it? Like those notes, right? So even if things come up, you could put it on the roadmap for next. And then what happens is we go, okay, so this is the kind of things that we're doing. Down the side is all those things you have to do, right? Like email marketing, earned media, social media. You're going to put all those things in a particular campaign, action items, budget, who's it tasked to, what's the status of this every time you meet every month. You're going to see how you've progressed. And it's got a Gantt chart, so you're going to know where on the month it is. So this is your overall planning, right? You want to see how frequently you're putting out blogs. How frequently are you doing the newsletter? If you do a blog, you need to do social media for that blog, and then you need to put it out on your email marketing. So now you can see the progress, right? Where is it going to go? Am I going to do one newsletter? Okay, that means I have to write the blog ahead of time. So make sure you kind of see the staggered progression of where things go from planning to content creation to promotion and distribution, right? And then reporting. So the planning sessions up the top, each of these key ones at the bottom, each of the tactics listed here also has a key objective, because keeping eyes on what success looks like is one of the most important things you can do, right? So make sure you have it there, really what success looks like, all the things you're going to do, and who's the most responsible for it. And maybe you're most responsible for everything, and that's okay as a solopreneur. But maybe as you start to bring people in and you go, okay, you know what? I need to hire someone at least for email marketing. It's like, okay, here's my playbook, here's my strategy. You now are taking email marketing from me. It's like, excellent. So now even if you hire a contractor, they could see the context of the work that they're doing to even potentially support you in some of the other ones as far as insight. It's one of the best things to do is to keep this all in one place. And then we also have templates for campaigns, right? So we talked about maybe Valentine's Day is a whole campaign and you're going to do a whole contest around Valentine's Day. So what does that look like? So what are those key dates? What do we want to achieve from it? And I know it seems like a lot of work to do this, but once you get started and used to it, it's going to be much easier, right? It's like, okay, so I need to know this needs to happen. Here's the budget I have. Here's the person that's going to take it. Here's what success looks like. You fill it in as best as you can, and then you move on. And when you track your results, you can add it too. Because next year, remember we talked about efficiency and repeatable processes? Next year, when you do Valentine's Day special promotion, guess what? You just have to come back and go, what did I do last year? Right, this worked, this didn't work. Now I can just repeat it. So the first time you do it, for sure, it's going to be a lot. So this is where you're going to be able to scale and grow and be more efficient and be able to share some of the load with some other people. And then also we have a strategy template. And this where it might be in your playbook. Like this is for each tactic. So it's going to be your social media, how you're going to do your strategy for social, how are you going to do the strategy and manage website? And you're going to have each of those. Now, you might have a separate document for this, but keep it all together, at least in one document. And if you don't have it in this document, have it linked over so you have easy access to it. So, for example, I filled out one for you guys, email marketing, just so you can see what it looks like. What assets do I need? Is there a manual? What tasks, how am I going to manage tasks? What supporting tools do I need? What reporting tools do I need? All of that is all part of that strategy. And that way it reminds you, but it also helps with when you hire someone. So that's it. That is the playbook. I'm glad we spent a little time on this. I hope it makes sense. We can always come back to this afterwards. So once you have all of that, now it's like, I have to make content, right? Like, where is this going to fit in my editorial calendar is what we call it. So week one, this is just an example. We have a contest. Maybe she does a vlog, social media, all in the week one. And this is in June, the example. And it's like, okay, it's strawberry season. So I have to write a blog about it. We're going to do a contest. I want to do a video, and I get to do a whole bunch of social. And what are the topics for each of those? It's right, strawberry recipes, natural gardens, and then we just break it down to what kind of content we need. Write all together. And this is how you're going to manage your content. And then who's going to do it? Right? Like somehow going off a spreadsheet is not, doesn't make sense because as things change, you're cutting and pasting, and all of a sudden this person is doing it, you're not doing it. And then how do I manage comments and how do I manage subtasks? Oh, it's crazy in a spreadsheet. But if you take that and you put it into something like Asana, now you can move it all around. I'm going to show you. This is what an editorial calendar could look like in Asana. And what that is now it's a calendar, and I have news, I have blogs, and all of this is actually coming from all my other projects that I'm managing on it. And if I move it around and I just click and drag it to another day, guess what? It updates on the other project. It's so good. And you also get to see it's like, oh my goodness, I'm putting the newsletter out before the blog. Well, that doesn't work. So then now it's like, okay, I'm going to push the newsletter out over here. It's really cool. And when you click on it and you open it up, it has all the details about it. So you can add in a link to Google Drive so that Google Drive can go, to where they can do the editing. You can put subtasks into different people. You have dates. Is it in progress? Is it approval? Such a cool tool to be able to manage all your content, right? This is the place where things get done. Now, the other piece on here, if you look to the left, they're all the projects, right? So we have one for a meeting agenda. We have a marketing planning, right? This is where it doesn't go onto the calendar. Like these are just the planning things that we have to do. The blogs project, which will link when it's ready, it goes over to onto the editorial calendar, but the blogs has a bunch of processes, right? So in blogs, we have, okay, it's in staging. Okay, it's being written. Okay, we need to create features. Okay, we need to put it up on the website. Okay, we need to put it over out on social. And it's just you move things along. And what we have is a Kanban. And then we also have different campaigns. So if you're going to do, say, a Christmas market, because it's Christmas time, you have a project going, okay, I need to do a whole event. So under this event, we create a whole new project. And then we have social media as well. And basically, all of those are the actual getting the work done in the project. And then it comes forward to the editorial calendar. So you see when the public sees it, right? When are you going to actually push all of this out? And it's so visual. And the reason I haven't shown you what everything I talked about is because when you come to the workshop, we're going to actually run through this. We're going to run through a template, and we're going to show you how to actually create an Asana system, which will help you roll out your playbook. And that's for the workshop or another online event. So that is why you've just heard about it, haven't seen it, but check it out. This may have some features I didn't realize afterwards. Asana has a good freemium version. So I do encourage anyone to go over and at least check it out. If you don't already have it, there's other project management tools. But if you don't have something and you're interested, they do have a good free version. We pay for our version. So there might be some features in here that I didn't realize that is part of the paid, but it's definitely worth checking out because their free version is good. Um, there we go. Okay, so we have our editorial calendar. We're all planned out. Now we actually have to make content, right? So Canva is just one tool. It's not the only tool, but it is one that we use and for small business works out really well. And why does it work out well? Well, they have a bunch of templates. It's online, so you can access it through your mobile as well as your desktop, and you can share it with other people. And so there's a whole bunch of brand colors that you can add to your brand colors. I think you have to pay for that one, but they do have different color options. When you select a template, which say this was for an Instagram post, basically it shows you a basic one and you just get to go in and edit it. Right, so at least you have, maybe you're going to use the visual, but you're going to change out the text a little bit. Please don't just use what they show you because then everyone has it. Definitely do some editing and make it your own and make sure this is where we're going back when we start to create content. Remember content marketing in your playbook? It's going to tell you how to create content so that you're consistent in your branding and Emily will smile and Emily will say yes. Please, when it comes to your branding, make sure it's consistent. Make sure the filters are the same. Make sure that your font that you're using is the right one. Make sure the language, remember we talked about key messaging and styling, make sure that's used properly. All of those things are going to come, and how are you going to know how to use it? And if you hire someone, how are you going to know how they're going to use it? Because you're going to go back to the playbook, which is also telling you how to do it, but also linking out to your brand guidelines, right? Where all your logos and things are. So this is the chain of management. So why do we choose Canva? Here's the list. Remember we go through that criteria list? Well, it's easy to use. They have templates. They actually have design folders, so you can drop them into folders so that you can use them again and again. Brand colors, once you have your brand colors, if you pay for it. Emily, is it a paid or can you do brand colors in the free? Do you know?
I believe it's free, but they have like a whole brand kit where you can, assign your fonts, add like additional colors and stuff. That's paid, but I think you can create actual like color, it's like sections and stuff.
Right.
One of the best things that you can do is um, if it is in the paid version, if you go into, a general like template and stuff and you assign all of your colors, like at the beginning, and you add more to that design, your colors will already be saved in there because it looks at your history. So it's kind of like a way to get around it.
Oh, excellent. Right, because once you save your template and you
Yeah,
can reuse that template and you can copy it over, now you have your brand colors.
yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so good tip. And there might be, it looks, this was the free version because I signed this one up under my free. You may have one brand kit available. Anyways, I see that someone's saying it's paid version, but anyways, these are always changing. So even though we're showing you this, someone watching this recording, a month or two later, a lot of these tools will be upgraded and it's based on needs, right? So this right now currently it may be only on the paid one, but as Emily mentioned, create a template, then just copy it over and you'll have that saved for you. You can also upload your logos. You can upload any images that you want to do. This has also different elements and things like that. So there's a lot of features that's available. So the image library, brand colors, and what's really great is collaboration. So Emily and I, speaking from experience, we had this discussion. When we do we do presentations on Canva or do we do presentations on PowerPoint? Well, we're a Google shop, so we don't have sort of this online management for Microsoft. So we have to evaluate our own tech stack. And we said, okay, well, Canva, I said, well, I always do PowerPoint and habit, right? We get used to doing things a certain way. I love all the animations. It's how I design things. But from a management standpoint, she's like, right, we were talking about the fact that you can't collaborate. So our last presentation we did on Canva, so both of us were actually in at the same time editing the presentation, which was so great. So now, remember we talked about the extra touch points? So Canva is great for content, but guess what? If we do presentations, and that's part of our business strategy too, and that's a service, now check mark on that. Now it's actually, we could use Canva to the point where we wouldn't need PowerPoint. Now we still do, but
Canva also has a really cool built-in presentation tool. So if you created a presentation within Canva, you can record yourself going through the presentation. Um, that's a feature we haven't played around with yet, but I know I definitely want to. I do believe that is with the paid version though. But yeah, it's really cool. So if you are someone who wants to record tutorials, how-to videos, they have a really awesome tool for that.
good. We will have to try that. And the other thing is too, is they do video stuff now. Video is everything. They also have stock video available. Now that's also with the paid. But you see where you start to go, okay, well, I'm already paying for stock videos somewhere else. I don't have to pay for it somewhere else if I can get it all in Canva. And if I pay for the paid version of Canva, now that's actually saving money because now I don't have to go out and get stock. You see how you have to start doing all the checks and figure out what you're going to do, what works for your company, right? What kind of content you're creating and what kind of business are you operating? What are you currently doing that you potentially don't have to do anymore if you consolidate it within one? And then where are you going as an organization? Right? If all of a sudden you realize that social media is huge, you need to start doing more social media, but you can't seem to scale because you're doing it all yourself. How are you going to do this? So you need to save some money. So all of those are key questions every time you think about technology. It has to go back to your situation. It has to go back to your workflow and your processes. And then you have to look within the context of all the other tools and technology that you have. And the only way to do that is to start putting it together into something like a playbook, right? This is where it's meant to grow with you. So that's one tool, and we are going to talk about Canva in the workshop as well. So we spent a little time in Asana and Canva and Miro, and Miro's another. So those are the three key ones that we're going to play around with in the workshop. And just remember when you start to do something like Canva, like this is all those tools that, going back to Garden Grows, which is where we were, is maybe this could be potentially her suite of tools, right? She's using Hootsuite and Plan because Hootsuite is a social media scheduling tool. And how are we going to manage all the scheduling, right? Like you have to sit down, maybe part of your process is you're going to say every Monday afternoon, I'm going to just put a bunch of stuff out on scheduling for my social. Now, that doesn't mean, and what Hootsuite allows you to do is, remind me, Emily, it's Facebook, it's LinkedIn, it's
Twitter.
Twitter, and Pinterest. Do they do Pinterest too?
Um, I don't know if they do Pinterest.
Okay, we'll have to figure that one out.
Hootsuite is one of the only scheduling platforms that does most social media platforms, and it's very friendly for Facebook and LinkedIn.
And Twitter. It's good for Twitter too,
And
isn't
Twitter,
it?
yes, thank you. Especially when it comes to like previewing the links and stuff before they go out. Plan is really good for Instagram and all that kind of stuff, especially like scheduling reels. And they have, and I believe Hootsuite just added TikTok.
Oh, yes, they did.
They did. I haven't tested it out. I don't know how great it is. I know Plan has had it for a while. Um, but these social media scheduling platforms are always changing. And they're always updating things. So figuring out kind of what works for your business. We have to have multiple because we work with different types of businesses. that require different needs. But for yourself, like if you are someone who is really only using Instagram and Facebook as your social media platforms, I wouldn't recommend something as Hootsuite because it is pricey, but it's pricey because it offers so many other things. Whereas you could probably get away with something super simple like Plan, or Later is a really good one too. I know they're getting up there for price. Or Planoly is a really good one as well. Like I wouldn't recommend something huge if your requirements for social media are less. But to have one of these social media platforms is really, really helpful.
Cool. And we thanks, Emily. And we have some conversations going on in the chat, and I'm definitely interested in talking about this during the Q&A. And this is where we love conversations like these webinars and different groups that we work with too, Emily, because it's the sharing of best practices, because they are constantly changing, right? And there's constantly new ideas, and sharing best practices with each other on how you're using it is really good. So please, in the chat, share with the group on any tips, any other tools that you're using and how you're using it if you are willing to do that, because this is really, really important. So Hootsuite Plan is good for scheduling. Grammarly is one that we use for editing. Now it's not perfect, but it's for your text, right? So it has constantly evolved as well as an online editing tool. And I use the paid version. Can't remember what the different features are, but it does allow you to go in, put your things in, and it's basically AI stuff, right? It'll go in and say, okay, this is a fragmented sentence. Okay, if as far when you first put it in there, it'll ask you what kind of language, what style, like are you business, are you expert, and things like that. And then we put it in there, and then it will, based on that, it'll say, okay, that's too formal, or this is good, or you're and what I get all the time because I'm old school, I do 2 spaces after my periods. It says, okay, well, you need to bring them all together, and it will actually change it all for you to make it formal. The paid one, I do know one feature is plagiarism. So if I'm writing on Grammarly, I will be able to do click the plagiarism, and it will go out and search the internet to see if anything else is written about it, like in a similar way, because A, you don't want to plagiarize anything, but B, Google doesn't like duplicate content, so it does help with your SEO. So Grammarly is a cool tool. It's not extremely expensive, and they do have a free version as well. So that's Grammarly, and I do encourage you to do it because it's really hard to edit your own work. And we even put it in for captions and things like that, right? Like we just put it in for little things. MailChimp, going back to email marketing, whether it's MailChimp or any other one, there's a bunch of them out there. Emily and I, just for simple email marketing, we've used through Squarespace, has Acuity. MailChimp, I like MailChimp for more complex email marketing. They have a lot more features where you can actually do workflows and automations, and it's really good. So if you're e-commerce or you want to start automating things and personalizing it. So remember we talked about at the beginning with one of the trends is personalization, and people want that. So you are able to take your email subscribers through a journey, and you can map out that journey, create automated emails, and have it and automate the triggers and when does it happen. So if they haven't opened it up in 5 days, send them a reminder. Or if they click on this, take them here. And now you can create landing pages and add landing pages into that. And one of the examples I often use is the pet store concept, right? Or if you have your cat owners and your dog owners and you're going to do a whole open house campaign or things like that, you cat people and dog people are often quite different, not always, just sometimes. So if you have a campaign and you want to target more the cat owners, maybe you're going to send them, if they've identified and part of their preferences at the beginning during their sign up says, hey, yeah, I own cats, yeah, I own cats and dogs, or oh, I only own dogs. Well, you just send the marketing for cat people to the cat one. So it's going to be all the promotions for how do we bathe the cat? I don't know. Can you bathe the cat? Actually, I'll put it out there because I'm a dog person. I don't know. But maybe it's a grooming for cats. And then here's some toys for cats, or here's getting ready for Christmas for cats. And then here's dogs. And maybe you have a blended one. So now all of a sudden it's very personalized. And it people know that you're automating it, but They're so inundated with so much stuff that they want marketing people to give them what they need. And they are going to stay engaged and they're going to buy more from you if they think and they know, based on what you're giving to them, that you have studied them, that you know what their needs are and you're delivering it to them. Really important. So please get your processes in place, figuring out who your audience is, set the tools in place, and then use them based on the processes and workflows you've already identified. And then lastly, Squarespace is just a website. That's the main one that we use, but there's so many other ones. There's WordPress and Wix and things like that. But Squarespace, we've identified Squarespace because it's easy to use. We went through all the checklists, right? It's cost effective. It's easy to use. We can actually duplicate websites for future websites. It's all consolidated. They've thought of certain security. I don't have to deal with WordPress plugins. All of those little check marks are things that we went through. So please, for you guys, go through that checklist and go through the exercise as well. Okay, so we did it. Yes, Playbook, it started. It might not be done, but we did it. So now, what are those benefits, right? We're way more efficient. We're saving time, hopefully saving money. We have better communication. We have more informed decisions because we have one central place for truth. And I totally went forward. Sorry, guys. There we go. We have informed decisions, right? And that is really important. Data-driven decisions, informed decisions on strategy. All of this is because it's in one central place. Improved quality control, and that includes branding. That includes messaging. That even includes some of your administrative access, right? You don't want to get into something, um, quality as far as even business management. And at the end of the day, better team morale. And I put team morale out there because even if you're just a solopreneur, you're going to feel like you're moving forward in control and getting things done. So that is it. We made it. Next step is the workshop, right? So sign up. The link's there, but I think Mona also put it into the chat, right? Digital marketing playbook, we're going to go over. My chat keeps doing this. Digital marketing playbook, we're going to go over, and a planning scenario. We're going to build out on that garden grow scenario, but you guys are going to bring your computers. You're going to do it. You're going to have this information ahead of time, so you'll be able to actually start to plan your playbook. Come with any questions. We can work through workflows yourself. We'll have some sort of set time to do things ourselves, as well as have us there as guidance. And then we also have a chance to go through a demo of Asana. We're going to work through Miro and definitely have some more discussions around Canva. Those are three key platforms. We're using Google Workspace just because by nature this is all going to be on Google. And then if you have any other questions, we'll be there to answer them. So that is it. That is us. That's a digital marketing playbook. You can get in touch with us afterwards at any point too, online, social, or our email addresses are there. So I'm Laura at acornstudio.marketing, and it's simple. It's Emily at Acorn Studio Marketing, and reach out to either of us. And then our downloads, here's the link. This playbook will be ready for our live audience at the end, hopefully at the end of this week. And it will be, you can find all our downloads here. And that's just a easier to remember one link. So it's acornstudio.marketing/downloads. And that's it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Laura and Emily, for another wonderful workshop. And as Laura mentioned, we do have another in-person session coming up on November 23rd at from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So it is at the Living Arts Center. We will be there, and we also hope to see you there as well. I've also put in the link to register into the chat, so please do make sure you register and attend the next session. And thank you again, Laura and Emily, and we hope to see everyone soon.
Yeah, and we thanks Mona. Thanks again for the invitation. We always love working with Idea Mississauga. And I know we're down to like 6 minutes for questions, but we will stay on a little longer too if Mona's okay with that, because a lot of sharing going on. And I am curious, you guys were talking about, I'm not sure What PR templates? Okay, what is there a missing, is it an extra tool that you guys are sharing on here? Because drop it in if it is. Okay. Questions. Any questions, Emily, did you see, or Mona, that I may have missed? Because I'm looking for someone who's doing PR templates here, and now I'm very curious. Because I actually created a PR template too. Emily and I have numerous templates that we've created. So we just want to put it out there too, that they will slowly be rolling out. Because if we create it, we're all about sharing, right? Like, why are we keeping this to ourselves? We're just going to put it out there and you guys can use it, customize them for whatever you want. So please do sign up for our newsletter too. Just head over to our website, because that, as they come out, we'll just be rolling them out. And oh, Canva Pro paid. Yes, they do have media templates, for sure. Now, it's interesting that you say that, because as I was looking through um, some of them, and I ended up creating my own because it wasn't robust, quite robust enough, but they do look good. So definitely from a formatting standpoint, from a planning standpoint, you might still want something at the beginning too. Now, here's another example of when you're doing your processes. I am going to give you, so I mentioned PR Karma. I said PR Camp, and I totally didn't say that right. So PR Karma is an online media news room that is totally priced out for entrepreneurs. It's a game changer. It's so awesome. You can have your own newsroom um, and then you can also push out. They have a whole journalist thing, so very low cost. You can actually have a newsroom and push it out to journalists. So this is really cool. So one of the things that we did for them is working with someone right now is that we are doing their media releases for them. So when we created a template, yeah, so that is that too. So I'm going to totally share an example. Um, Actually, if you go, oh, that's interesting. If you go to the pitch board, you'll actually see two of the pitches that we put out with my face there. So we put that out there. So I had originally had a template that I had, but what we had to do is we had to customize the template based on our tools needs, right? So that we could plug it into the tools. So this is where you may create templates, you may have processes, but then you may adopt a tool or technology, but now you might have to readjust that. So you're always in this constant flux of changing and moving and optimizing. But if you have a process, if you have it online and you can customize it, right? If it's a Google Doc, so you change your fields around. But always think through is how can I make this faster? How can I make this easier? How can I improve quality control? How can I edit this? If you're going back and forth with someone more efficiently. So there are tools around there, but it has to make sense for your processes and who you're working with. So that is, I think that's the website you were looking at that I just dropped in there for that. But if you are interested in PR Karma, talk to us, because again, we're happy to share. There was also a resource that is on our website that we talked about before. Now this is totally free. So Mona, is it okay if I share the Grow thing?
Of
Because
course, yeah.
it's something Emily and I are leading, but it's totally led, members driven, and it's free, and it's for us to have continued conversations, because we love these webinars, we love these things, but it also realize that, ongoing discussion and learning and sharing is really important. Idea Mississauga, if you guys haven't joined up with all the stuff they're doing, amazing. So please check in with those guys, as well as if you're interested in joining up with Grow. Emily and I would love to have you join us there. And any other tools while we have 1 minute left, or questions? Oh, this is great. Oh, I see the vendor director. You guys put that in there.
I think you mentioned a webinar. I might have missed it, so I wasn't able to plug that link in. Do you mind maybe? saying that again. I can plug the link in.
Okay. So we did, well, let me just, I'll plug it in if, because I have to actually find it again. So, there was a, that is not it. Wait a minute. Unless you know what it is, Emily.
It was something about
Oh, here we
business
go.
continuity, I think.
Oh, the business continuity too. Okay, yep, I'll drop
Mm.
that in. I'll see if I can find it. This, we did a presentation last week with a women's group. It's a really, a not-for-profit, really cool group that's been around. So if you're a women entrepreneur, the one I think you were talking about, Mona, is the business continuity one. And let me find that. Um, I think it might still be on the Future is Unlimited. Um,
Another question came in, is MBEC now called IDEA? Yes, we are. We have rebranded into IDEA Mississauga now. We still offer the same resources and programs, but even better. So yeah, and you can always find out more information about us at ideamississauga.ca.
yeah, so I will inadvertently cross back over because that was when I was there. Okay, the newsroom website. Okay, so I will share the link again, the newsroom website, PR newsroom. Let me drop that one in again. And so the business continuity one is there, and that was when I was with the city and we worked together with our emergency management office and put together this business continuity plan for small business owners. And the expert led sessions, Abraham actually put together a plan which you can download still. So I do encourage you to head on over there, and he does talk a little bit about cybersecurity. I know that's a big thing. He doesn't talk a lot about it, but there is a series of it and a place to start documenting things for that. So if you're interested in that, PR Karma, I did drop that in again. If that is if that's of interest to anyone else.
I think you put
Oh,
it into all
oh, I
panelists.
did. Oh, my word. I'm sorry. I think I did that a few times, actually. Here we go. Did I do that with all the other ones too? Yep. Okay, here we go. Sorry, guys. I didn't realize that was actually default. Where else what other one did I put in?
The forum.
The forum. Oh my goodness. There we go. Any other I missed? Oh yeah, I did the Grow one. So if you're interested in Grow, there's our link. Um, yeah, I think that was the only ones I shared. Yeah, okay. Any other questions? I know it's a lot. I will, again, so Mona, I'll give it to you so you can send it out to everyone by the end of the week. It just needs to be reformatted, and it may even get adjusted before we get to our worksheet, our workshop, just because, this is ongoing adjustments. I would even hope even at the workshop that if anyone has insights on how they might want to change it, right, and update it. This is all part of that collaborative process.
Sounds good.
Okay. Good. Okay. Well, thank you, Mona and Emily, for all the insights, and hopefully we'll see you guys again.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
See you in 2 more weeks.
Yay.
So
Right, 2
excited.
more weeks. Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Take care, everyone.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys. Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.